Hi, I'm Tony Russo, and this is In Case You Missed It from Kates-Boylston for the week ending Friday, June 14th, 2024. Happy Flag Day. I can't tell you how much you missed if you didn't make the most recent Kates-Boylston Funeral Service Business Plan Conference, but two stories this week gave me the opportunity, or will give me the opportunity, to talk about them. Dr. Jennifer Wright-Berriman, who we featured in the FSI newsletter, debuted a website this week that she's been working on and that she teased at the conference. The Equal Death Care website features a list of LGBTQIA+ friendly funeral homes. The idea came from the research Wright-Berriman was doing into how well or poorly funeral homes signal their acceptance to Pride community members. As she pointed out, for sexual and gender minorities, choosing a funeral home is fraught because many people, even funeral directors, feel like they can treat them with open hostility. The list is by no means exhaustive, and she hopes to grow it, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it, to get word out there. They have a vetting process, and they actually can also find people to help provide training if you want to be more inclusive and don't know the right signals to send or the way to send them. So, link in the show notes, but this is a really exciting program, and we're happy to let you know about it, and you can go to the website. In less exciting but still relevant to the conference news, the Bearfield Funeral Home says it will close on July 31st. Rhonda Bearfield Davis, the funeral director there, announced a closure date, adding that the owner, Adeline Bearfield, is retiring because of health problems. Bearfield Funeral Home has been a significant part of its community for 6 decades, and they've been guiding and supporting families during difficult times, according to their press release. And the funeral home has been a trusted place in the community. And I'm not necessarily calling out Bearfield particularly, but the closure coincides with my story that ran today in Funeral Service Insider and with Chris Kruger of the Foresight Company's presentation about succession. It is imperative to have a plan. This is the second story I've reported on in the last month about health issues just closing a funeral home. And if there is no plan for closure, then it's really just a case of you might have to walk away. And as we reported, I think last week or the week before, some funeral directors, some funeral homes are buying up the pre-needs to make sure the families have a place to go. But just as you would counsel a family to make sure they're prepared in case of a tragedy, you should have your funeral home business prepared in case of a tragedy. And this is just a reminder. My story started out saying that, we could lose as many as 4,000 to 5,000 funeral homes over the next few years as people retire without plans, and sometimes in property that can't be replaced as a funeral home. So if you do not have a succession plan, if you have not valued your business and don't know for a fact from an independent source what your business is worth, it's probably a good time to find out. According to Chris Kruger, many people think their businesses are worth 2 to 3 times what they're actually worth, with interest rates fluctuating the way they have been. It can be difficult, and you should probably have one done every year. But if you haven't had one done recently, have it done now. Better safe than sorry for the future of a business that you worked so hard to build. Speaking of succession plans and speaking of business advising, it's been a long time since we've had a positive earned media story to report on. But this story from Maine caught my eye this afternoon, and I definitely wanted to share it. Hall Funeral Homes and Cremation Services have been recognized for their excellence in customer service, according to Johnson Consulting Group's 2024 Performance Tracker X Customer Service Trends and Insight Reporting. Hall's locations excelled in nationwide service categories, with 2 of its 3 locations ranking in the top 10. Hall Funeral Home received high scores in customer service. in customer satisfaction and confidence, willingness to recommend, and perception of value for services rendered. The reason I love sharing these stories is it's a reminder for funeral homes to make sure that they get things out in the local press when they can. You would do well, I guess, to go beyond Facebook, especially with announcements like this, because if there are 8 more funeral homes that were in that top 10, those didn't make the news. And there's no reason why they shouldn't. If the entire industry and all of your customers are ranking you very, very highly, absolutely it's great to have it on Google. Absolutely it's great to share it on Facebook and in other social media, but it wouldn't kill you to send it to the newspapers so that there's another outlet that can pick up these accolades, especially when you deserve them, as Halls clearly did. On the darker side of earned media, last year we had The Burial. Next year we may have Chop Shop. Christina Ricci and Hamish Linklater will star in the true crime series inspired by the Kathy Braidhill book of the same name. The series tells the dark story of the Lamb Funeral Home in 1980s Los Angeles. When David Sconce takes the reins of the family business, the seemingly all-American clan begins a jaw-dropping descent from saints to sinners. To save their failing funeral home, Sconce devises a dark plan involving body harvesting and mass cremation. The script portrays the downfall of a former football star turned sociopath. I would argue turned sociopath isn't a thing. His father was a football coach. His mother was like a Sunday school teacher or something. They were very Bible people. And I reported on this a couple weeks ago. If I recall, he was processing something like 8,000 bodies a year. And he was also beating and intimidating funeral directors who tried to report him. It's gonna be it's a bizarre story. If you don't recall it, you may want to go ahead and get yourself familiar with it, because if this is on every week, this will be like I guess the opposite of 6 Feet Under, for those of you who remember what it was like to be in funeral service when 6 Feet Under was the hot story. I expect that this will probably be more like an 8, episode limited series. I don't think they can do, a week after week of this, because, it didn't last that long. But it's something to put on your radar. I want to, ring my bell again from what I've called the Penrose effect from what happened in Colorado. And if I can, give you a sense of how, negative this is going to be in advance. I don't know if it will help, but at least, as they say on G.I. Joe, knowing is half the battle. In the No Good Deed Goes Unpunished department, Mole's Farewell Tributes and Crematory in Bellingham, Washington, has told the Whatcom County Medical Examiner they will no longer help them store bodies or help them with office space after complaints were levied about as many as 6 bodies being left unrefrigerated for an extended period of time. According to the funeral home, they saw that the medical examiners hadn't been storing the bodies correctly and reached out to the medical examiner and said, hey, you want us to take these bodies in, we'd be happy to, but they don't belong to us, so we can't just grab them. The medical examiner, again, according to the funeral home, said no, other funeral homes are on their way to pick them up. And the funeral homes didn't get there for 3 more days. So whether it was crossed wires, whether it was neglect, or whether it was just dumb bad luck, the problem is that it was at the Moles funeral home facility. So they're the ones that are getting the heat from it. And, the state investigators have come in and they're trying to sort out what's going on. But in the meantime, the Moles funeral home has said, find someplace else to the county medical examiner. I have their statements will be here in the show notes. And since the county examiners have not responded, I don't want to come down too hard on them, but it looked as if the Moles funeral home was actually trying to keep their name out of it so that it wasn't, reflective on them. And once that it was clear which funeral home, I mean, Bellingham's not that big. Once it was clear which funeral home was, at odds. And this is a story from May. This is an older story. They've been hashing things out, and I guess they've reached the kind of impasse where it's no longer worth it for the funeral home to rent or loan this space to the county. And that is it for this week. Please subscribe wherever you're listening, or if you're watching on our YouTube channel, please subscribe there. We're posting these on social media, so if you're seeing this on Instagram or on Facebook or on X, formerly Twitter, I don't think I post on there. I haven't used Twitter in a long time, I'm not going to lie. But anyway, wherever you see this, if you want to see it more, ask where you saw it, and we'll make sure we get it to you. We may or may not have an episode next week. I want to just give you the quick heads up. I'm bringing all of my gear to Rhode Island, where we will be, Kates-Boylston will be planning what kind of fun stuff we've got coming up for the next year. I'm really excited about it. If I can find a place to set up in my hotel room and it is not too awful or ugly, and I can keep the fact that I don't let the maids into my hotel room from being in the background, then we'll try to have another one for next week. If not, I will see you on the week of the 28th of June. Have a great summer.